Change Counseling Center, and I just wanted to take a couple minutes to talk to you about mask wearing and panic attacks. So I wanted to give you some tips from our perspective at Care to Change, some things that you can do if you are prone towards panic attacks and putting the mask on is causing you to start to feel that way. Just knowing that there are some options available to you could be calming in and of itself. So I want to start with this. The first thing is that these things that we're going to be talking about, these ideas, are things that you can practice even when you're not having a panic attack. And maybe you've heard of this before, but if you practice when you're not having a panic attack, it's easier for you to remember to do it when and if you are. So I'm going to give you some suggestions and then encourage you, if you're prone towards panic attacks, to practice ahead of time. And you can do it multiple times a day, especially if you know you're heading back into school and you're probably going to have to be wearing a mask all day, or you're going to a specific place that requires a mask, since just about everywhere requires one right now. The second thing I want to remind you of before we get into the practical is that the earlier you catch anxiety rising, the easier it is to work on it. So I myself have experienced a panic attack one time in my life, and I'm actually really grateful that I did, because as a counselor, I'm always giving advice to people about having a panic attack. And when I had it, I was trying to put into practice all the things that I tell people, do deep breathing and do all these grounding exercises. And I realized that at that moment, when my anxiety had risen past the level that I could do anything about, it was so tough. And all the things that I share with people all the time to do, those things weren't working. So it kind of gave me some empathy and some perspective for anyone who is struggling with one. So catching it low as soon as possible, identifying in your body that you're starting to feel that way, is really important in handling panic attacks. And the last thing is be prepared. So in the middle of struggling with anxiety on the rise, it feels like it's heading towards a panic attack. It's hard to generate a list of ideas of things to do in that moment, because your mind is usually kind of racing with fear, with the concern of like, what if I'm about to have a panic attack? So if you have your phone or something you carry around in your pocket on a note card, that gives you a list of ideas that can help you, so you don't have to think on the spot about what you can do, but it's written down for you. So I encourage you with those 3 things to get started, and then here we go, let's get some practical tips for you. So the first thing that you can do, and again, let me just say this too, different things work for different people. So that's why practicing is great, because if you practice, then you can kind of know which ones work for you and which ones don't. And I get it, some are definitely not going to. But the first thing is just, it's a cognitive calming statement, telling yourself, this is just a panic attack, and just sounds trite, like it's small, and I understand it is not. It is very scary when you're having those symptoms, but this is a panic attack and I'm going to get through it. And if you're not quite sure what the difference is between regular anxiety and a panic attack, actually it's really just a continuum, but I would say that panic attack symptoms are very intense. The very intense chest pain, kind of could feel like you're having a heart attack, difficulty breathing, sometimes feeling like you're gonna choke, that you absolutely can't even swallow. Some people tell me they feel numb, they can't move their legs, intense crying or weeping, sweating or chills, trouble with your headache, or any kind of physical symptoms for that. So that would be the symptoms of an anxiety attack. So telling yourself this is a panic attack and it will pass is a calming statement that helps your brain go from that high alert danger to, okay, I'm gonna make it through this. Even if it's hard, I'm gonna make it through. Secondly, identifying what is happening in your body. So if you stop and you kind of do a body scan and you say, what am I feeling right now? Okay, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling in my heart, I'm feeling this, through your body. And while you're doing that, you're trying to slow down your breathing if at all possible. So we practice square breathing, but there are all kinds of breathing techniques that you can use. The most important part is just that you slow down and breathe in and out in a different way than those short breaths. And the short breaths are what you feel like doing in the middle of a panic attack. So really focusing, and that can be very grounding too. Another thing is called progressive muscle relaxation. When I teach this to clients, I teach from going from the top of your fingers all the way to your toes and back, and squeezing muscle groups and holding them for 5 seconds. But in the middle of a panic attack, sometimes it's hard to squeeze different muscle groups. So you can even just hold your hands like this and squeeze for 5 seconds and then let go. And if you're using these muscles right here, you're getting a lot of muscle groups from your chest to your shoulders to your biceps. So progressive muscle relaxation is another option for you. Also, picturing a safe place, and it's best to do this using the senses. So you're putting your mask on, you're starting to feel that, and you picture yourself in Florida on the beach, feeling the sand in your toes, seeing the blue skies and the white clouds, smelling that salty air, watching those waves come in, listening to the birds flying, hearing those little kids running around and laughing. And if you do that with the senses, what you would see, what you would hear, what you feel and touch, what you might even taste or smell, it kind of puts you into that place. So finding that one relaxing, safe place that you can picture. Also, listening to music is a great one, especially for you students who are walking around in the hallways at school with a mask on. If you notice that that's a time, there's a lot of people walking around, and then with a mask on, it can make it feel like it's hard to breathe. But if you're listening to music and focusing on that sense of hearing and relaxation that comes from music that you love, it can help sort of focus you into that. I also think it's great to choose somebody else to walk around with. So if you're going out somewhere and you know you're gonna have to wear a mask, choosing a trusted friend who's compassionate and has a calming voice. Most people who struggle with panic attacks tell me that, most people, they don't want to be around when they're having one, but there's maybe that one or two people, friends that they do trust who can really help them calm down. So if you identify who that person is and have them with you, that can be really helpful and really grounding, especially when you hear their voice and they're calm and compassionate and helping you realize that you're going to make it through. And then getting up and moving your body. So staying stuck is usually not helpful, but getting up and making your body move is really important. Let me just add a few more ideas for you as far as grounding goes. So grounding yourself to the present moment. What's happening in a panic attack is that your brain isn't really focused on being present. It's thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff, usually racing thoughts. You can't even necessarily identify all that you're thinking, but grounding yourself to the present moment by picking up and touching something like a stress ball or Orbeez, by savoring food or a drink. So if you're chewing gum or sucking on a piece of candy, especially something that has a lot of flavor like a hot cinnamon piece of candy or a minty piece of gum, and focusing on that taste sensation, or a scent that smells really good to you, a lot of essential oils. You can rub them on your hands, and even through a mask you can start to smell that, and focusing on that sense of smell. Cognitively, so what can you be thinking about? You can do a bunch of things in your brain to distract yourself from thinking about whatever it is that you are heading towards. So things like doing math in your head, things like the memory game, so trying to remember everything that's in my car. What all is in my car right now? 10 things that you're thankful for, or gratefulness. Thinking in categories. This is another kind of weird one, but if you're just like, all right, I'm gonna think about all the different kinds of ice cream I can possibly imagine right now. Or I'm gonna think of all the colors, or all the NBA teams that I like to watch. Or reciting a memorized passage, making yourself laugh, figuring out something kind of silly and funny to make yourself laugh, and that's really relaxing for you. Visualizing or describing a common task. This seems another kind of weird one, but where you say, okay, if I were to go home and do the laundry, what would it take? First, I would walk in, I would grab the clothes, I would pour the laundry detergent into the little container, I would feel the softness of those clothes going in, and just walking yourself through that task. It's putting yourself in a different place so you're not continuing to think about whatever it is that triggered you to have that panic attack. Lastly, another cognitive one is just listing favorite things, your favorite places you've ever traveled, your favorite food, favorite songs, favorite movies that you've ever seen. So again, getting yourself thinking about something different. And the last category is soothing ideas. So that's picturing someone you love. Maybe you had a wonderful grandmother who gave you the best hugs, and you can just picture what those hugs felt like in her eyes, and that smile and the compassion and kindness. If you just picture that again in a sensory kind of way, that can help. Or practicing self-kindness to yourself. Saying to yourself, you're going through a tough time, but you're going to make it through. We can get through this. Your pet can be a wonderful way to ground you. We have a golden retriever, and just petting her, she has super soft fur, and I love to pet her, and I think it's just a great way for that sensory feel, and also just grounding. I'm right here, I'm with my pet Cricket. And lastly, just touching something comforting. So if you have like a soft blanket or something soft that you can just to touch, so that again, like it's that sensory experience. So I know this is hard for all of us as we're trying to figure out what do we do with wearing masks, but I want to encourage you that there are some things that you can do. You can always contact us here at Care to Change. We're happy to talk. Even just email us or call us or set up an appointment. We're happy to talk with